This episode of the Totally Rad Show is brought to you by Check Threads. Coming up, if you love haunted houses, you're going to want to check out the documentary, The American Scream.
Today in movies, we are talking about a documentary called The American Scream. As I mentioned on the Top of Monday's show, this is the follow-up, not really the follow-up, it's the second movie from Michael Stevenson. He made one of our favorite movies, a documentary called Best Worst Movie.
One of our very favorite movies ever.
And it came out a couple years ago.
Which was a big surprise for us because we happened to see it at the South by Southwest Film Festival.
Yeah.
It blew our mind. If you haven't seen it, is it on Netflix?
I actually think it was on Netflix Instant and might still be on Netflix Instant. It did come out on Netflix Instant not too long ago. So check that.
Best worst movie.
The American Scream will be out this Sunday, October 28th on the Chiller Network, but it's also playing in theaters. So go to theamericanscreammovie.com to see where the screenings are. If it's not playing in your area, it's also on tug.com. I don't know, guys, if you've used that yet. TUG.com.
What is it?
Where you can demand something come to your town or theater or whatever. So check that out, and you'll hear our thoughts right now. So The American Scream is, as many documentaries follow subcultures, this has honed in on one I never really knew existed. I mean, growing up, we've all gone to haunted houses,
Sure.
Whether they be professional ones hosted by your local radio station, perhaps. Mine was Eagle 106.
At the Eagle 106.
Classic rock.
Exactly. Or in your neighborhood, for me, there was one up the street on the corner. It had a strobe light, and the guy would come out in a Wolfman, and it scared the crap out of me. And,
that's really all it takes.
But I never knew that these were called haunters.
I think
haunters.
that's much more recently. Post-internet revolution,
Yeah, it could be.
They even talk about it in the documentary where a lot of these people were just sort of doing it themselves, and then the internet came, and there were
Galvanized
videos and
community.
forums, and it was like, hey, there's actually a community here.
And now there's even, as we see in the documentary, there's conventions. So the documentary follows three families, all in one neighborhood in Massachusetts.
Fairhaven.
Fairhaven, yeah.
Fairhaven.
Very clear where they're located. And
where I got
by
my
their
lobster traps.
Yeah, exactly. And we see these three families, how they interact with Halloween, how they interact with building their home haunts, and what their lives are like. So, Alex.
Yes.
What did you think of The American Scream?
As opposed to the Russian Scream, which was a completely different movie.
Oh, the Russian Scream is unwatchable.
Or
the funny thing is, I was a big I love Halloween, and I was a big fan of Halloween when I was growing up as a kid. It was one of my favorite. As I think a lot of kids, it was one of my favorite holidays. And it's interesting to see people who've sort of taken that to the next level and sort of continued that tradition, because I think, for me, Halloween now has become this sort of like, I wish it was like it used to be. You know what I mean? Like, I wish that I was every year had like the big party that I go to every year, or like the thing that I do with my group of friends every year. And for people who have that, I'm very envious of that. And this is a great example of seeing people who just really it brings you back. It can't but bring you back to your childhood, where I remember going out trick-or-treating was going out with my group of friends, their parents, but then the streets were filled with kids going trick-or-treating because I lived in a suburban neighborhood, you know what I mean? With a lot of kids around about the same age. And the thing that I got the most joy out of was actually watching the kids in their Halloween costumes, like the kid with the face and the big hat that he was looking through. I was like, And it reminded me of all the crazy costumes that I did. We also did 4th of July was really big in our neighborhood, and we had a big 4th of July costume parade that we did every year. So it was sort of like we got 2 Halloweens 4th of July, you could dress up just like a Halloween, and there were contests for best costume and like.
What kind of costumes? Scary costumes?
Anything. At one point, I remember I went as Wilbur Wright or one of the Wright brothers with my big wheel. I turned into a biplane and had the cap, and like
awesome.
I was like riding it on the street and won an award for it. Amazing. And I was like 4 or something like that.
So the American Scream.
But so it really did bring back all of that great nostalgic feel for being a child and it also made me think, I kind of want to do this. You know what I mean? Like I kind of want to make a haunted house because, especially when he was like, he was like at the haunt convention and the guy was like talking about how you design a scare and how you design, and I was like, oh my God, that's right. Where it was like, you set up expectations of how things are supposed to work, and then we get scared when things don't act the way they should. And I was like, there's like real logic behind scaring the pants out of people. So I really fell into that whole, I got lured into the whole sort of vibe of it. I don't know if I'd say that it was as strong as Best Worst Movie. I mean, that, it's a good documentary about an interesting topic, but it's not, it's not a topic I would seek out. It's not something that, you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't really walking away with tons more knowledge on the idea of haunt. Like they allude to going professional in the movie, and I still don't know what that means. I still don't know.
People pay to come in, basically.
Yeah, but that can't
like
be
those
it.
Eagle 106.
Yeah, but that can't be just
or
that
like the Neil
because
Patrick Harris.
1,000 people go in. It's $5 a pop. That's only $5,000. That's not professionally haunting all year round. How does that work? So I was sort of left with some questions that I wish that the movie had answered.
What about? It seems like more of it is about the family drama and dynamics. Between there's one family there. They actually moved into their home because
specifically
you could
because
have
of
build
location
to being a haunt. Like there's
but there was tension, but it was never a sort of story arc of tension. It was just there's this tension. But there really wasn't that tension. I mean, like, the wife was helping out and the wife was into, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, she might go, every once in a while, but it wasn't a movie about the tension in this family and how that resolves. So there was, it was one of those things where I was like, I'm really glad that I saw this. I would recommend it, especially if you have any interest in Halloween. But again, I just sort of, it was like, that happened. I didn't really take anything new away other than, wow, people do this. In my neighborhood, nobody did a like haunted house walkthrough thing. So I always thought that you would go to like Not Scary Farms or, you know what I mean? Like
professionals.
Exactly, the professionals.
Jeff.
Yeah, I had a very different reaction to this movie. And I agree with you that I didn't come away with a lot of specific knowledge about the Halloween thing, but for me, the whole experience of seeing this, the Halloween experience, the haunts, all that took a back seat to the people. And for me, this was a movie about people. In a lot of ways, how Best Worst Movie is really becomes a movie about people that you see through the prism of this cult film. I agree with you, this doesn't reach the highs that Best Worst Movie does, but that's sort of lightning in a bottle.
I was going to say,
it is a great documentary. You know what I mean? It's hard to...
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, exactly. It's like saying, well, it's not...
It's not
Citizen
Star
Kane.
Wars. Yeah, it's like, it's good, but it's not Star Wars.
Right.
It's like, well, yeah.
And I probably... I may regret admitting this, but I realized in the watching of this movie that I have a very difficult time watching these kinds of movies. And I think that the real realization that I came to is that I am sort of the definition of a bleeding heart. Like, I went through such a roller coaster of emotion watching this movie all by myself, relating to these people in ways, being repulsed by these people in ways, finding the humanity in them. It is. I mean, there are three different families, and all of them are beautiful in their own way, and all of them are, I found myself judging them in certain aspects, which I'm embarrassed to say, but it's true. And there's like one of them where it's like they just live in garbage. They just live in garbage, and that is difficult to see, and sort of the interpersonal relationships. But then you sort of fall in love with their dynamic, and you realize that there's real love there. And more than that, I think this is a movie about community. and
Definitely.
about neighborhood.
Yeah.
And how like this.
It did make me pine for that time of feeling like there was a community around me. I live in a neighborhood.
Small town.
And I live in a neighborhood, and I still don't feel really any connection to anybody that lives in my neighborhood.
Yeah, and there were times in this movie where like, oh my God, there but for the grace of God go I. Like, thank God I wasn't born into a situation like that. And then there are other times where I was like, that's it. That's all you need in life. Like, there's one point where this guy, you know, through the whole movie, he's like, you know, I didn't care. I just do it because it's fun. And if my kids want to do it, that's great. I have a good time with them. And then at a certain point, he tells a story about the year that he had a heart attack. And they weren't going to do a haunt that year. And everybody from the town came together and helped build it. And it's like, I found myself sitting there going, that's it. That's all. He has an impact in his world. He cares about his family and his kids. He invests in his community, and they respond, and it means something, and that's all you need in life. And really, for a film to be able to take me on that kind of an emotional ride, and really you do that with all of these people. I mean, the guy who's sort of the most, I would say, together and professional about it, his family dynamic you learn a lot about too, and his daughters and his relationship with his daughters, and the fact that he like grew up as a Branch Davidian cult member, like it's disturbing, and then you love him, and then it's a wonderful window, and it's very intimate, and I think that they do such a great job of keeping the focus squarely on who these people are and what their lives are like, and I found that so much more interesting than any of the Halloween stuff, and that was sort of just almost just an excuse to bracket all these people together in their hobby.
I thought it was interesting you bringing that up. Like, it really puts a magnifying glass over this. Best Worst Movie, and we're only comparing because he made that. And it's also, there's an interesting thing where the link is these horror movies, Halloween, scary things, but finding the human element inside of that. But you know, that movie is so operatic, and we go through such high highs and low lows, and this really puts a magnifying glass on things that if you didn't have a film crew following you around, if the pieces of these moments weren't edited together and juxtaposed, it would be very mundane. It wouldn't seem at all that there's any story in it. But editing it and putting music behind it, and specifically editing it the way it was, what struck me was like it seemed as if one of the interviews was conducted in a day, because it's the mom of the family, the most together family, is saying things in the same scenario. She looks the same, whatever. And towards the end of the movie, she says something that I won't spoil, but it was a bit of a reveal about the past of this family.
Yeah.
Now, that could have been at any point in the movie. It could have been, I mean, and it was a very.
And it would have colored your entire perception of the whole.
But it was that it happened at the end. It made us experience a story. Yeah. And before that, it wasn't really a story. Like having that happen then, and that's just through filmmaking. It's just through
skill.
putting things together that really gave you, I think, that of like, wow, I really tracked the story of these people. It wasn't just, you know, them on screen. Yeah. So
I want to make another point that I think is very different than what we've been talking about before. But the other thing that struck me while watching it is that as we move farther and farther into a digital special effects age, and all of these horror films and the cinema version of being scared is moving farther and farther away from people building stuff, I think there is something even more romantic and even more special about walking to a physical location, seeing something that exists in the real world, that someone made with their hands, that is A, scary, and B, magical, that like, you get to see the behind the scenes of tinkerers, you know, real tinkerers who take something physical and make it and build it, and it works in a certain way.
It definitely made me feel like I want a hobby where I can build something, you know what I mean? Like sort of like your robot thing. But more, you know,
like my robot thing.
Like
I just in my garage build robots.
Well, you click them together.
But that's what movies used to be. Movies used to be, especially horror movies, used to be all about these physical things that craftspeople would forge, you know, and it's not that anymore for the most part.
I mean, people, and
we're moving away.
And
from
even in digital space, it still is crap. You still have to build all that stuff.
I'm not taking away from that. I'm saying that like there's something from a viewer's perspective when you walk into a location and there is a physical thing that shoots out at you, it's not like watching a 3D movie.
Really,
it's a physical thing.
It's more akin to, it's like an amusement park experience
and that's
that
what he
people
said.
are building in their garages.
One of the guys that said, like, they're basically they are making amusement park rides.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. They're figuring out the story, how does the flow of people, all of those things they have to deal with, but they're doing it in their backyard.
So,
or throughout the entire house, but.
If you want to see it, it's on, if you get the Chiller Network, Sunday, October 28th.
I've never even heard of the Chiller Network.
Really?
Until
You might
just this
have it.
moment. I might.
I have it.
And then, but if not, see it in the movie theaters. Go to AmericanScreenMovie.com to see if it's playing near you, or go to Tug.com. There you have it.
Tug it to you. All right, everybody, be sure to stick around. We're going to be answering one of your Twitter questions right after this. But first, we want to thank our sponsor, Jeff Cannata.
If you've been watching all month long, I've been telling people that we're amping up, if it's possible to get even more amped, the Jack Threads integration into our show. Here's the thing.
The integration.
They're watching. So I've been asking people, if you sign up for Jack Threads, all you have to do is send a picture of yourself having signed up for Jack Threads and tell me how you want me to do these reads.
I want it to be just some guy with champagne like, did it!
Yeah.
No Jack Threads in the background, just him. I did. This is the picture of me after signing up.
He's so happy.
He's so happy.
So here's the one I've got for today. Somebody asked me if they wanted the read to be more dangerous.
Okay.
And then I said, how would I do that? And he suggested constantly punching.
Okay.
So here we go.
Why are you punching at me?
That is dangerous.
Dangerous!
That's
okay, so
dangerous.
Jack Threads
Yeah,
has
but
become
not to me.
the
I'm
online
not doing
shopping
a read.
destination for dudes. Watch out, guys. Punch, punch, punch,
Whoa,
punch, punch.
danger.
The site
much
is
danger.
has amazing
Thanks, Dan.
apparel
Thanks, Dan.
brands.
Thanks for helping.
Up to 80% off everything. Why?
Why?
Because full prices for suckers.
Yeah,
This is tiring.
don't punch and read a prompter at the same
It's
time.
dangerous! They have amazing brands. They have Converse, Penguin, Vans, The Hundreds, John Varvatos, lots more. You can update your
Lots
fall
more.
wardrobe. It's the time to update it. Watch out, watch out.
dude,
Dan, here goes a punch, here goes a punch.
Yeah.
Seriously. If you refer a friend to Jack Threads, you can get a...
Yeah,
here we
now
go.
see how much fun the danger is.
$10 shopping credit for referring a friend. Jack Threads seriously is the place to go if you want to look good and save money because they have awesome brands. The problem is... It's
not that dangerous
The problem is
anymore,
it's dangerous. The problem is that it's members only, so there's a waiting list. But you can skip the waiting list because you watch our show
Danger?
by going to jackthreads.com/TRS. Sign up now and send me a tweet and maybe I'll...
Just kidding.
Yeah, got it.
I was waiting for that.
jackthreads.com/TRS. Thanks for watching!
We'll do the fist over here.
Check us out tomorrow for Rad Rebus.
Today's Twitter question comes in with a hashtag TRSQ from our buddy Dougie at the Potato Pope on Twitter, who asks, would you rather be transformed into a Minotaur or a Centaur? And we should probably define those
Sure.
for clarity's sake. Minotaur, of course, half man, half bull. Man body, bull face.
Well, bull legs.
no, it's-
Bull legs.
Bull legs, man,
yeah,
torso.
sort of
Lots of different
anthropomorphized
interpretations.
bull.
Yeah. But bipedal.
Centaur.
But bipedal.
Bipedal. Centaur, top half man, bottom half
Horse.
I
horny.
think this is a very obvious answer.
What, should we
Well,
do it
let's
on
do
three?
it on three.
Let's
There
do
we
it
go.
on three.
Ready?
1, 2, 3, Centaur. Right,
Yeah.
because that gets chicks. They get
Yeah.
chicks.
I mean, they
Plus,
do.
you
Every
can
time
still
you
get
see them,
chicks.
But
they
also,
are very sexualized beings.
But also, you could still do the news.
And
Like, you could just be, you could work on
you can do the
CNN.
news, you're the bull,
can just
especially
be-
if you're,
No.
talking about financial news.
No,
you can
no.
be like, it's a bull market.
Yeah, but still, they'd be like, what the? That's
No,
a
'cause you
weird
don't even, like, speak
bull
as a
thing.
Minotaur.
Exactly.
Yeah, you
But a
can't.
centaur could
Minotaurs
have.
can
they're
speak.
like,
A centaur could be Charlie Rose. You don't know. Charlie Rose could be a centaur. We don't know that.
Maybe he is.
Yeah.
Bottom half, never
And
seen
a
it.
horse.
you get to gloriously gallop through the fields, and it probably
Yeah.
is amazing to race through.
And someone can ride you.
No.
I mean, chicks mostly, all right?
What do you mean
I guess.
mostly?
Hey, listen, if you wanted to,
Yeah,
if I was
saddle
a
up,
centaur,
cowboy,
and you
let's
wanted
get
to,
going.
if you, listen, if we needed to get someplace fast,
All right, that I understand. Emergencies.
And on the flip side, you're hung like a horse.
This is true.